You are sitting in a waiting room. Nothing is happening. The magazines are old. Your phone is dead. And within about 90 seconds, something strange starts to crawl up from the back of your skull. It is not pain. It is not hunger. It is not fear. But it feels almost like all three at once. Your leg bounces. Your eyes scan the room for anything. You start reading the fine print on a laminated fire escape poster just to have something, anything, to do. That feeling has a name. And the real answer to what it is doing to you is far stranger than you ever imagined. Most people think boredom is a modern problem. A glitch. Something that happens because you have too much free time and too few distractions. You scroll. You snack. You open an app you just closed 30 seconds ago. You assume something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. Your brain is doing exactly what it was built to do, and it has been doing it for tens of thousands of years. In 2012, psychologist Sandi Mann at the University of Central Lancashire published research that flipped the conventional understanding of boredom on its head. She found that boredom does not shut the mind down. It fires it up. When her subjects were forced into deeply boring tasks, their minds began generating significantly more creative output than subjects who were engaged the whole time. Boredom, she argued, is not an absence of thought. It is a kind of cognitive pressure. The mind searching urgently for something worth doing. Think about what that means. Your ancestors did not have apps. They did not have televisions or traffic or 12 open browser tabs. What they had was long stretches of time between hunts, between seasons, between moments of crisis. And in those stretches, the ones who could tolerate boredom without acting on it tended to miss things. They missed the faint rustle in the grass. They missed the shift in the wind. They missed the rival tribe moving across the ridge. The ones who could not tolerate boredom, who felt an almost physical urgency to find something happening, to scan, to investigate, to move, those were the ones who noticed. And noticing, in a world before medicine or shelter or fire on demand, was the difference between being alive and not. Your boredom is not a malfunction. It is an alarm system. And it is very, very old. Neuroscientist James Danckert at the University of Waterloo has spent over a decade studying the brain during boredom. What his imaging work revealed is striking. When you are bored, the brain does not go quiet. The areas associated with goal setting, self-monitoring, and future planning all light up. Your brain is essentially cycling through its options. It is asking, over and over, is this worth my time? Is there something better I should be doing? What am I missing? That question, what am I missing, is one of the oldest questions the human brain knows how to ask. Because for most of human history, missing something was catastrophic. Missing the sound of a predator. Missing the early signs of a drought. Missing the social cues that told you your group was turning against you. Your ancestors were not bored because they had nothing to do. They were bored because their nervous systems were calibrated to be unsatisfied with stillness. Stillness was dangerous. Stillness meant you were not scanning. And the brain learned, over hundreds of thousands of years, to punish stillness with an uncomfortable feeling designed to get you moving again. That discomfort you feel in a waiting room, that is a survival pressure, encoded into your neurology long before the waiting room existed. But here is where it gets even stranger. Boredom does not just push you to act. It pushes you toward meaning. In 2013, researchers at the University of Limerick, led by Wijnand van Tilburg, published a study showing that boredom reliably triggers a search for significance. Bored subjects were measurably more likely to engage in activities they perceived as meaningful than subjects who were not bored. They donated more. They reflected more. They pursued goals with more personal weight. Van Tilburg described boredom as a signal that your current situation lacks meaning, and that the response to that signal is to seek out situations that carry it. In other words, boredom is not just an alarm telling you to move. It is a compass, pointing you, however imprecisely, toward what actually matters to you. Think about the moments in your own life when you have done something genuinely important. A creative project you cannot explain the origin of. A decision to change direction entirely. A conversation you suddenly chose to have. It is very likely that somewhere just before that moment, you were bored, uncomfortable, restless, not with the world, but with the smallness of what you were doing. Your ancestors made tools during the long afternoons. They invented stories. They built the first social rituals during stretches when nothing was immediately threatening them. Boredom was not the enemy of progress. It was the engine of it. And yet, here you are, in a civilization that has done everything in its power to eliminate it. The average American now touches their phone 2,617 times a day, according to research by Scout. Every moment of potential stillness, the commute, the line at the grocery store, the 30 seconds before falling asleep, is pre-filled, pre-solved. The discomfort is canceled before it can complete its sentence. But the signal is still firing. The compass is still spinning. And when it never gets to land anywhere, something quietly goes wrong. In 2021, a major survey of adults across 12 countries found that chronic boredom, defined as the persistent sense that nothing feels engaging or worthwhile, was one of the strongest predictors of depression and anxiety, second only to social isolation. Not because boredom is depression, but because when you eliminate the discomfort, you also eliminate the search. The brain never gets to ask the question, and a brain that has stopped asking what it is missing eventually forgets what it was looking for. Your phone is not making you unbeard. It is making you numb. There is a difference. Real boredom, the uncomfortable, restless, leg-bouncing kind, lasts about 8 to 15 minutes in most adults before the brain shifts into a creative or exploratory mode. Researchers call this transition the boredom threshold. And what comes after that threshold is genuinely remarkable. The mind begins making connections it would never make while occupied. Ideas surface from nowhere. Memories recombine into new shapes. The brain, starved of input, starts producing its own. Your ancestors called this daydreaming. They did not know they were doing anything important. But the evidence suggests this is exactly when the first tools got improved. When the first cave paintings were imagined. When the first plan was made not just for today, but for next season. You, right now, have the same brain, the same architecture, the same alarm system that fires when nothing is happening, and the same creative engine that kicks in when the alarm runs long enough. The only difference is that you have learned to silence the alarm before it can do its job. So the next time you feel that crawling restlessness, the fidgeting, the impulse to reach for something, anything, try waiting. Not forever. Not with clenched teeth and white knuckles. Just wait a little longer than you normally would. Let the discomfort peak. Let your brain cycle through its restless questions. And then notice what comes next. Because what comes next has been coming next for 200,000 years. You are not bored because something is wrong with you. You are bored because your brain is doing exactly what your ancestors needed it to do when the world went still and something, somewhere, needed to be found. Tonight, when you reach for your phone because nothing is happening, remember that the nothing is the point. The restlessness is not the enemy of your thinking. It is the beginning of it. Your boredom is not empty. It never was.